20% of the companies in the S&P 500 have reported. So far, really good. They're beating estimates by 18%, mainly led by financials, which have beaten expectations by 26%. The rest of the market's up about 11%. I think that's going to continue. I've been very encouraged this past week how broad-based the beats were and the guidance were raised across the board, from J&J to Coke to American Express to Union Pacific. Just a whole litany of companies that are doing very, very well. And again, as I said, they all raised numbers. So what am I looking for? Well, certainly I think that the big four that you guys were talking about earlier, AMD, Google, Microsoft, and Apple, they all will have very strong reports. There's no question in my mind. The question is, what's guidance going to look like, number one? And number two, have these stocks run up too much into the prints? I mean, we know digital advertising is going to be very strong. We saw that at Snap and Twitter, so that bodes well for Google and for Apple. But Google's up 56% on the year. Apple's only up 12%, so maybe the bar is a little bit lower. But let's see if they can really beat, raise, and then the stocks can follow through.
Yeah, Stephanie, it's a good point. It was a really strong week, but if we're looking back even to Monday, it's been a volatile week. So, Ron, are the markets perhaps a little too confident about the second half of the year? We, have the Delta variant sort of hanging out there in the ether. We really don't know what the cooler months will bring as far as the variant is concerned. Are the markets perhaps a little bit too confident about growth in the second half of the year?
Perhaps, and I still assume, Helen and the folks, that look, I think peak growth may well be behind us. We've seen the Atlanta GDP Fed Now number come down from nearly 14% to just over 7%. And I suspect that GDP growth won't be quite as robust in the third and fourth quarters. And it does, to me, seem like inflation has peaked as well. Having said that, I think everything going forward beyond earnings season hinges on the Federal Reserve. Do they openly start discussing, and I mean Jay Powell, not other Fed officials, tapering and tightening? Do they start really talking about a coming change in policy in the beginning of 2022 that would be meaningful to the markets? Then I think, you start worrying a little bit about where valuations are versus the risk-free rate versus a potential taper tantrum. But growth is going to be strong. Earnings growth, as Stephanie said, will be strong as well. But we do have some pretty lofty valuations. I mean, Apple's got, is worth $2.5 trillion. So some of the companies are going to have to grow into these numbers still. But I really think we're going to transition from earnings to the Fed within a matter of just a couple of days to a couple of weeks. And that's going to be as critical as anything else we see.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.